I mean, I feel like I have a really traditional story. I mean, lots of people have this story about weightlifting, like CrossFit weightlifting thing. It reminds me of my like background in like other skateboarding things, and like old skaters then become like, when you get old you become a longboarder and stuff. Somehow that relates to this. But yeah, CrossFit turned me on to weightlifting. But I would say, if I think back to the earliest times of it, I'm from the 70s, and that I'm like 50 years old. And in the 70s, there was a show called The Wide World of Sports, and on it, like Alexia was like clean and pressing like 500 pounds. So it's like this image of like strength in my head from that, and like that's what dudes do. You put the weight over your head. And then there was a computer game for my Commodore 64 called World Games. Moved the joystick back and forth, and they had the snatch and the clean and jerk. And so I knew what it was, and I knew it was cool. But no one did it in the 70s. I mean, people did it, obviously, but like it wasn't prolific. You couldn't go on any street corner and find it. So when I was going to school for counseling, and I quit smoking cigarettes, put on a bunch of weight, and started exercising like army stuff, like CrossFit or push-up, sit-ups, 2-mile run, 30 minutes of static stretching first. It takes 2-hour workouts and shit. And then my buddy was like, "Oh, I do this thing called CrossFit." He's like, "It's great. It has the Olympic lifts in it." And I remembered like, whoa, I needed a short workout one day, so I went in there and I did it. And, like, it's like all she wrote, like, I did it. Oh, CrossFit is the greatest. And then I found that I really gravitated towards the weightlifting part of it. And I left the counseling field, got a degree in exercise science, started working as a CrossFit coach, decided I don't like CrossFit anymore. I like people wanting to be coached by me. I don't want to just go in there and tell someone like, "Hey, do it like this," and like, "Fuck off," or like, "I'm gonna take it easy today." Like, oh, you're not gonna get better. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, generally it's a very if you interviewed 100 people in the sport of weightlifting today, I'd say 90% of them have to be CrossFit.
The gateway drug into weightlifting.
The gateway drug. Indeed.
Yeah. You said you left the counseling field. What did you do before weightlifting?
I did kind of everything for a while, and for fun, nothing. I mean, except drugs and stuff. But like, skateboarding was a hobby. Drugs were a hobby before skateboarding. And career-wise, man, I did like I was in the Army, worked in warehouses. I worked in some glass manufacturing. Portland's got a lot of like high quality art glass manufacturing places, like world renowned places. So I worked in that for a little bit. I started to get into my late 30s, early 40s, and decided like I didn't want to work in warehouses forever, or I definitely didn't want to work outside anymore. I didn't want to work in glass factories, which are really hot in the summertime and not that fun, chemicals. So then I started to transition towards like office work, and I worked in what was it called? It was a payroll agency, like where the people pay your paychecks, and like that was real terrible. You had to correlate like the pay stubs and the checks. Count this number, count that number, put them together. I was really bad at it, really bad. Like always, like the last guy's check would go to the next guy's company. So every Friday, like, "Oh, sorry, bro, your check's not here again." Probably went to Nebraska instead. It was the worst. So I did that for a little while, and then I got a job selling cars. I sold insurance with my stepdad for a little bit, so I got a job selling cars during the stock market crash of like what they call it, the Great Recession. I can't even think about that year, but like, do you know who buys a car when the stock market crashes 1,000 points in a day? Like one lady, she was deaf. She didn't hear this. Like
she missed it all.
This is not the day to buy a car.
Get the memo.
So that was not that fun. And I was okay at it, but I just was doing it at the wrong time. And then I had a buddy who got clean off of drugs. Oh, and I had like a criminal record back in my day. And I had a buddy who so I was having a hard time finding a job during those years of super high unemployment. And a buddy got clean. He lived on my couch. When he was getting clean, I kind of like mentored him, and it's fine. You can get a new life. And then I started to think, like, what's a job that you could do with a criminal background? And that was drug counseling. So I went back to school, did that for a while, worked in that field for a little bit, and it's fun. I don't know, like it's rewarding, working with people, person at person. It's being personable and like helping people, kind of. But yeah, I don't know. The substance abuse field has a overarching paradigm of like the 12-step program, which is fine if it's good for you, if you like it, good. But like, it wasn't for me, the 12-step program, for more reasons than we can talk about in this short interview. And it's more of most of the addict counselors, the people that were addicts, were like completely clean and sober, and I am completely not. Like, I think that it's called harm reduction. I think that for some people, just not doing dope, just not shooting heroin, smoking crack, doing meth is enough to get your life back. And like, you can have drinks and you can maybe smoke weed or maybe drink. I don't know. A lot of times heroin addicts are also alcoholics, so it's hard for them. But not everybody is, and that's that kind of that's what AA is everybody. If you're an addict in one thing, you're an addict in everything. You can never do it again, or you're going to be an addict in your thing somewhere down the road. And it's just not that. That's just not the way. So I didn't really fit in with that crowd of my coworkers. You couldn't be like, I'm a recovering addict. You could be like, I'm a normie and I drink sometimes, but you couldn't be like, I'm a recovering addict and I drink, because then you're like two-faced. So kind of had to hide who I was, and definitely you couldn't talk about weed. This is before weed was legal and it's more socially acceptable. So that didn't work. I could have done it. I could have lived that life, but it also called professionalized, and they wanted to hire mostly people with master's degrees rather than, when I got into the field, like associates was good enough for a good job. And then it was bachelor's, now it's master's. And then my concept of what a good job is changed, because like master's degree, the social worker makes like starting out 65. Not a lot of money for the amount of work. And when I teach the level ones, I talk a lot about like, still feel like a same helping profession in what I do, and like helping people's goals come true and helping people achieve things and better themselves. I do a lot of personal training stuff too. That's just fitness. But none of my fucking personal training clients or weightlifters have died. And when I was a drug counselor, I literally lost 3 to 4 people off of my caseload that I was like working with on a weekly basis, see them every couple days, and like boom, fucking OD and die.
Wow.
I mean, not in front of me, but like
you just don't see him the next time.
Yeah, just like, oh, fucking Will died. Did you guys hear Will? Fucking they found Will in his room. So that's not why I left that field. I could have dealt with that part of it, I think. I mean, maybe I would have burned out, but like it professionalized, and that steered me towards going back to school. I got exercise science. As I started doing that, I started to get more and more work in this field, and now I make way more than $60K, and I work way less hours, and like again, no one dies.
Yeah.
No one dies.
So would you say that weightlifting, you found a way to combine your...
Yeah.
I mean, I would call it a passion for helping people.
Yeah, I feel like this a lot. That resonates. The idea of not just helping people, but like that all the things I did lead me to be really good at it. The counseling stuff for sure makes me a better listener and more empathetic, which means like able to feel how the athlete feels. Not how I would feel if I was the athlete, but I'm able to understand what they're telling me and about how they feel about their success, struggles, failure, whatever. The sales I learned from like selling cars and working with my dad, like you got to get people on the phone and tell them they're gonna, spend this much money a month with you forever, or sell someone like I charge $100 an hour.
Yeah, you got to pitch yourself as a coach. Yeah.
So and you got to do that. So that stuff, the Army experience, the idea of leadership and like leading from the front, and being willing to do all the things that you're asking them to do. And, to the warehouse, just that kind of hard work ethic stuff. So, yeah, everything led me to this, and it's where I'm the happiest that I've ever been.
Yeah.
By a lot.
What can you share about your earlier days dealing with substance abuse, and maybe what kind of led you down that path? And
I mean, that it's not like, it's always trauma, right? It's always, to one degree or another, trauma that you've experienced, and anybody who tells you different, like, not willing to admit it. And when I was in counseling, I was like, it's not my parents' fault. My parents were good. We were middle class upbringing. We went on vacations. I didn't get beat. But then when you become down the road and you start to, I don't know, it was when I started telling other social workers the stuff that happened to me when I was a kid. And they're like, whoa. So it's not like, I'm not going to go into those like things. But it's like that kind of past makes, let's just say, like divorce, substance abuse in my family, an uncle who was in prison for substance abuse, domestic violence in my house. Those things make a person feel a certain way, and drugs are a way to self-medicate that feeling. Like, Joey was an angry boy, so Joey did this thing to make him not feel so angry or so upset anymore. And then there's like other stuff about like feeling like an outsider, and this makes you feel like you fit in. And then there's the whole other thing that drugs are just fun. Like, doing drugs is fun. And like, I used to say, like, what is rehab except telling yourself that, like, I didn't have fun when I do this? And that's not what rehab is. But you can fully admit that it was fun, but you have to remember the whole and see the whole picture of it. And so the times that were fun and what was good about it pales in comparison to how much of it sucked. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of phrases in AA, and like finally one of them's like, you finally get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that one kind of resonated, like, particularly with heroin. Like, you don't get high after a while. Like, it's just inject drugs, feel good for 15 minutes, goes away. After 24 hours, you get the sniffles. After 36 hours, you got a bad cold. After 48 hours, you got the worst flu of your life. All right, so maybe you don't even wait that long. So after 24 hours, you start to get the sniffles, you start to get a cold, you inject drugs, you feel better. That's it. That's it. It's just staving off sickness and staving off being like miserable. And then you find that you're miserable going through the chores that it costs to get drugs. So I don't know.
Well, did you pull yourself out of it? Did you have somebody kind of help push you?
Yeah, the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Look, I think, you always have to have some, like, that was one of the things that Portland did wrong, is this idea of like decriminalizing all the drugs. And if there's no like hammer and carrot and stick, there's no stick, then it better be a pretty damn good carrot. I don't want a carrot. Like, you better be ice cream. It's not ice cream. You know what I mean? Like, the stick has to be there. The consequences have to be there for your actions. And I am just, like, I've been in jail a bunch, not a bunch, but a couple times. I'm not cut out for it. I don't like it. I don't like the people there, that kind of attitude of everybody's a racist, no matter how. If you're not racist, you can't be friends, like a white dude can't be friends with a black dude in jail. Just can't happen. I wasn't cut out for it. And so when I went to jail for the longest time, which was like a 6-month sentence, and then another 6 months, not run consecutively, but run back to back, that was enough to be like, I don't ever want to do this again. So I got in a drug program, and it sinks in, and you finally get it. The other thing I always say is that it's not just that, but like, because when I left that program, when I left another one, and you eventually again get sick and tired of being sick and tired, or you find something that you're unwilling to lose. And for me, it was like, I don't know, I got married, I've been mostly clean. Junkies don't ever just, most of the time, they don't just get clean, or addicts in general, don't get clean, stop, and never do drugs again. But they rather get clean, go back, get out, go back, get clean, go back, get clean, go back. And in those like shorter and shorter relapses, my wife found the needles under the sink one time. It was like, honey, what are these needles for? It's like that term, rock your world. It literally felt like I was tipping over. Like I felt like I was sitting in the chair like this and my body was just leaning to the side. And yeah, I don't know. So that was bad enough. And then it happened again. And she's like, look, dude, we're not doing this. She had seen people OD and die. Not necessarily in person, but new friends who had. And she's like, I'm not going to find you dead in the bathroom one night. She's like, we're not going to do that. So that was it. She put an ultimatum down, and I never did it after that, pretty much. That's it, pretty much. I think that's true. I don't think after that day I ever did it again.
Yeah.
And now I don't even think about it. Now it's just like this part of my life that colors who I am, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, I say that about the Army. Like, I wouldn't trade my Army experience for $1 million. Like, literally, like, if I couldn't have the memories I have from those times and I could have $1 million today, I wouldn't do it. The drugs, I don't think it's the same thing. But the, phrase kind of still works. Like, I wouldn't trade it. It made me who I am, and I don't horribly regret it. Like, yeah. I feel like I got out early enough that it didn't hold me back in life. Sometimes right. Sometimes if you don't get sick and tired of being sick and tired until you're 53, it's a whole other thing than if you get sick and tired of it in your late 30s, early 40s. Mm-hmm. And I think I also talk about like spontaneous recovery. At some point, you just get it. Like, it's not like a person. It's not always consequences. It's just you just started to go like, sick of this. I don't want to do this anymore. This is really miserable. So yeah.
So now, as a coach, having all this perspective, how does it help you coach your athletes who are having a hard time? Is struggling in weightlifting a big deal?
Yeah, I think it more to me goes to that empathy thing, and like, I don't know. People say that you don't have to have been a great weightlifter to be a great coach, but you should have been a weightlifter at least so that you know what they go through. Yeah. And that's true, 100% true. But the counseling piece of me makes me understand better from what they say and how they act, what they're going through, right? How they're experiencing it, not how I experienced it when I sucked at jerks. I mean, it's nice to have those anecdotes to throw out there, but like, it just makes me a better listener and better able to understand their struggle, their heartache with it, their feelings of helplessness and worthlessness. Of like, I tell not just the girls, but I tell the lifters all the time. A lot of times it is the female lifters that get hung up on this as the competition approaches and the natural fatigue wears in, and they're not hitting the numbers that they're supposed to. I'll tell them, like, you aren't the sum of your best total. Like, you're more than that. Like, and sometimes people, especially in this sport, people put so much of their heart into it. And it's a lot of my lifters, almost, I'd say half of them to 2/3 train alone in their garage. So you don't have that team thing. It is really the struggle. And when the bad days happen and you don't have your coach there to be like, cool, fucking just move on. You're doing fine. And you just get in your head. I think I'm better at reading that and then getting on the phone and having those conversations and helping kind of alleviate those feelings of like worthlessness and hopelessness of like, why am I doing this? Well, you're doing it because you think about the good times and you think about the fun things. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm better able to dial in and hone in on what that issue is because I'm a good listener and I'm hearing what they say. So,
Danny made a comment about weightlifting and how we train weightlifting over and over and over again, repetitively being told, yeah, it was all right, you could do this better. Yeah. So in a sense, you're constantly being told you're doing it wrong, yeah. Right? And then you have that one lift that just clicks, yeah. It feels good, the feet hit the platform, and it just makes that perfect sound, right? Yeah. And then you think that in your brain, oh, I got it. Every lift from now on is going to be that. And then you come back the next day
like,
and it goes to shit.
It's like golf, dude.
And then you just are on this perpetual search for that feeling again, right?
Yeah, I mean there's certainly some drug analogies in there too, but it also reminds me of golf. Like, I don't know, an average golfer is like a 110, 100. Breaking 100 is good. I broke 100 maybe once, but like most average golfers can hit a shot every round out of those 100 shots. So 1%, 2%, where you're like, that was it.
Yeah,
I'm a golfer now. Like, I don't know, sank a 15-foot putt. Like, Tiger Woods could have missed that putt. I sank it. A golfer. And it's like, yeah, it's like that. Like, yeah, I'm in it. Like, this is it. So, yeah, there's lots of good analogies in that.
Right. And then earlier today, before we went out to get dinner, you were mentioning your kind of general goals as a coach is to develop consistent weightlifters.
Yeah. I want to see them hit their current 90%, 95%, 100% of the time, or 99% of the time. If you're hitting 95 and 100% of what your best is, to me that's better than every 3 months you hit a 2 kilo PR. You know what I mean? But you miss that. You miss those 90% 10 times out of the 15 or 20 you take them. I want you hitting those 90 and 95% lifts 95 to 100% of the time you're taking them. Obviously 100 is impossible at those weights, but like that's the goal. I want those numbers. I want there's a lifter named Amy Hay. She was big time lifter back in the day, before she got popped, and she said when she was on a specific team, she was like, people asked her, she's real popular on social media, and people asked her questions. She's like, how often do you miss in training? She's like, hardly ever, because my coach knows how to program. And that shit stuck with me, and it was like, yeah, like I want to be like that. I want to program like her coach. I want them to not miss. And lots of people will say, like, if you miss in training, you're going to miss in competition. I don't know. So I take pride in like having a pretty high competition percentage. I think we're probably hovering around 74 now. Might be 74.5, 74.5. We're probably creeping back into 75. I mean, but if you have a couple meets where everyone goes 2 for 3 for, takes them down. My goal is 4 for 6 or better. I write that in my journal before big meets. The whole team's going to go 4 for 6 or better. That'll start to bump those averages up, and like 5 for 6 is really good.
Do you keep track of all those metrics?
Yeah. I had to catch up a couple months ago on meets for like 4 months. But yeah, I keep the warm-up card, and then I write down every warm-up. I don't really write down the missed backroom warm-ups, but I write down I have their attempts, and I write the missed ones, and then I count up. All right, so we had 18 more lifts, 3 lifters on that weekend, and this one went 5, this one went 4, this one went 3. So yeah, and then I do the little math, and I have all the missed makes. It's pretty accurate. 75%. I think JP would say if you looked at a meet, your average meet is somewhere between 55 and 60% made lifts. JP likes that stuff.
Yeah, that's the numbers. Is this it for you? Are you gonna do this until?
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine wanting to do anything else except maybe like be a teacher, like a gym teacher or something. Like just because you could do it a little older. You know what I mean? At some point, like you're the elder statesman of the sport. And you just your eye gets a little bad, or you get a little bit less mobile and a little bit less good in the back room. Like, I don't know, and it just gets harder and harder for you. I don't know. I'm 53. I feel like I got a good 10 years left.
Didn't you just front squat 170?
No, not front squat. I did 185 for 5 in the back.
I could have sworn you just. When did you front squat recently? Or did I just stalk your Instagram once and just like go deep?
I did do 63 last year around this time.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just over double body weight. I did attempt 70.
160 plus front squat. That's a good
185 for 5. That was good. And last year I did 182 for 8.
Hell yeah.
That was during the pandy.
I'll put some money on there's more than 10 years.
Yeah, well, I might peace out for Thailand before that too.
Yeah. I saw at Masters, I saw Glenn Powell? No. I think that's an actor. His last name's Powell.
Oh, yeah, I can't think of it.
I think Glenn Powell's the actor.
Is it George? Yeah. Stephen Powell.
Stephen Powell. Dude, that guy is a maniac.
Yeah.
He opened at, I think it was an 80 kilo snatch. And I don't know off the top of my head how old he is, but I think he's in his 60s.
Yeah, he's in
mid 60s.
Yeah.
But the speed at which he moved that snatch, it wasn't impressive because it would have been impressive regardless if he was a 60-year-old or a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
The fact that he moved it that fast blew my mind.
Yeah.
At 60, whatever years old he is. So.
Indeed. Yeah. I like squatting. Squatting's the fountain of youth.
Yep. That'll keep you there.
Yeah.
And then I guess my last question for you, it's kind of my favorite that I've been asking at the end of each interview, is if you were sitting in front of 20-year-old you, what would you tell that guy?
That's a good one. I don't know. I have to digress and say that I used to say that if because like I like jazz and like I don't know, like these refined things, and like I listen to NPR in the car. So I say like 20-year-old Joe would kick my ass, except that I would kick the shit out of that kid. So like would have stand no chance against me. I don't know. I can't enjoy the ride if I had to like say one thing. It's on the front of my Vespa. It says "Have fun, don't die." that's maybe like to sum it up in the simplest terms. Like it's just don't kill us before we get to enjoy it. I don't know. I think about like the financial security that I have these days compared to what I used to have, where I can just do. I'm not rich by any means, but I can do basically whatever I want any day. Like in Portland, I want to go to this restaurant, I can go there. If I want to buy a computer, I can buy a computer. Like that kid never thought that 20-year-old Joe was never going to have that. So, like, don't kill us before we get there, bro.
You think 20-year-old Joe would still be impressed?
I guess. Yeah.
Damn.
I guess he would probably be impressed at my bank account and my squatting ability.
Hell yeah. Have fun, don't die.
That's on my
love it.
It's on my scooter.
Right on, brother. Okay.
Thanks, man.
That's a wrap.
Excellent.
Appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, dude, it was good. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Now I'm going to bed.